The road less traveled. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere in the distant truth, two roads diverge on the path, and the one less traveled happened to be the only one that I could choose to make my mark in difference. The cost to me would greatly diminish the value of my time and my persistence. The reward I can't take for myself, but I must leave it behind, for there are those who will continue to need it just as much as I. This road doesn't afford me the sense of complacency of my comfort zone or the company of others who look like me walking the beaten path. Little black boy chose to reach higher than the confines that his environment would teach as the limit and the extent of his grasp. The fork in the road is the last stop. I consider, do I continue going down this path or not? Thinking out loud what obstacles await as I tread to the other side. Will it wear me down and rip away at my pride, test the competency of my resilience, have me believe that there's truth in the lies that I'm behind those who have been ahead all of their lives? If the first shall be last and the last shall be first, then what am I? I am resident. I've grown and become strong from the pain of being another black resident. Held back for what many thought I lacked, but my integrity is intact and it's evident. Me here tonight compiles more evidence that it was just another stain on the odyssey of my journey to become all that I could be, so I won't delete it. Some saw in me what no others wanted to see, extended hands to reach, encouraged me to learn what no book could teach or test could prove. I've taken the road less traveled, and I will reach my destination, and it's because of you. And that has made all the difference in the world to me. Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight as we celebrate us. All of us who are becoming alumni for the influential and impactful STRIDE program. My name is Rashad Sullivan. I've been a part of this program since 2006. I served initially as a van driver for high school students. I went on to become a mentor, a tutor, instructor, assistant coordinator, and a supervisor for the after-school program. Today, I am an orthopedic surgeon because of those experiences. As you can see, STRIDE has had a major impact on my career path. So I was tasked this evening with encompassing everything that we watched and heard tonight as we celebrated this program and the alumni through art, song, vocal expression into a keynote address. To do that, I think it's important that we look to our past as we celebrate the present and hope for what the future may bring. We stand on the shoulders of giants who dared to dream beyond the confines of their limited circumstances to answer the calling that would herald change and opportunity for those who would come behind them. As a black man, as a black surgeon, I want to share with you the importance of this program with a brief look at the history of African American diversity in medicine and how it relates to us all. Let's start with one of the first. Dr. James McCune Smith was believed to be the first African American man to earn a degree in medicine. You see, Dr. Smith was unable to attend college and medical school in the United States because he was black. So he had to move to Scotland, where he earned his medical degree in 1837. Slavery was not abolished until the 13th Amendment in 1865. He could have very well have been a slave as opposed to a physician. And then there's Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler. She was the first African American woman to earn a medical degree in the United States in 1864. It is documented that she experienced intense racism and hatred because of the color of her skin. Many white physicians ridiculed her ability to practice medicine. She even struggled to get her prescriptions filled for her patients because white pharmacists would not acknowledge her as a practicing physician, even though she dedicated herself and her practice to serving women and children. So we had to look to our own. Black institutions that would train black physicians. Leonard Medical School was one of them. It was the nation's first 4-year medical school. It trained 400 African American physicians from 1882 to 1918, when it was forced to close its doors as a result of the publication of the Flexner Report, which was published in 1910. Although the Flexner Report is celebrated for the standardization of medical training and establishing the biomedical model we've come to know as the gold standard of medical education today, it also significantly impacted diversity in medicine, closing 5 of the 7 predominantly black medical schools, including Leonard, leaving only Howard and Meharry open as the predominant black medical schools in the first half of the 20th century. The practice of the Negro doctor will be limited to his own race, which in turn will be cared for better by good Negro physicians than by poor white ones. 10 million of them live in close contact with 60 million whites. Not only does the Negro himself suffer from hookworm and tuberculosis, he communicates them to his white neighbors, precisely as the ignorant and unfortunate white contaminates him. The Negro must be educated, not only for his sake, but for ours. And I quote Abraham Flexner himself. The negative impact of the Flexner Report is still felt today. The proportion of enrollment for African American males has not changed much since 1978. In 2020, approximately 53,000 applicants applied to medical school. And of those, only 1,457 were black men, 2,906 were black women. And of the 22,197 applicants that matriculated, roughly 10,000 were men and 12,000 were women. And of those matriculants, only 665 were black men, 1,102 were black women. While all other racial and ethnic groups has a proportionate percentage of male and female matriculants, roughly around 50%, that is not the case for African Americans. There's a disproportion of roughly 39% African American men compared to 61% African American women who matriculate into medical school. While African Americans make up 13% of the US population, we only account for roughly 5% of the physicians in this country. We've barely moved the needle. An article published this year in the Journal of General Internal Medicine reported the percentage of black physicians has barely risen within the last 120 years. From 1900 to 2018, it has only increased from 3 to 5%. And as we ask questions of why does this deficit exist, predominantly within the African American community, we find the troubling answers of systemic racism in our justice, educational, social, economic, and healthcare systems established in this country. We need solutions. And it is with a great sense of pride that I can say STRIDE has been one of them. Why is this important? Why is this considered one of the great medical crises of our time? Well, multiple studies have been conducted that demonstrate that a diverse workforce in healthcare will help advance cultural competency and increase access in high-quality healthcare, especially for the medically underserved populations. While the lack of diversity in the healthcare workforce and in positions of leadership in healthcare threatens quality and access to healthcare and contributes significantly to healthcare disparities among African Americans and Americans overall. According to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics, African American men make up roughly 6% of the U.S. population. And yet, we disproportionately account for 34% of the prison population in this country. Black men are 6 times more likely to be in prison than any other race. So unlike Dr. James McCune Smith, today we don't face slavery, but the truth is, black men are statistically more likely to go to prison than to go to medical school. These statistics hit close to home for me because I was one of them. I am a rarity. I am the culmination of God's grace and the opportunities afforded to me by His mercy extended through the open hearts and willing hands of humanity. I know what the numbers say about me as a black man. I know had it not been for my God and the opportunities afforded me through STRIDE, I would not be here tonight. My path is different from most of you. I'm the third of 9 children. I grew up in poverty. My family struggled with addiction and incarceration. At the age of 18, I faced 20 years to life in prison. I've been labeled as a felon by some, but I sit before you, redeemed in Christ as a husband, a father, a son, a brother, and an orthopedic surgeon. We are here tonight to celebrate one of the most significant contributions to my success story, the STRIDE program. Ms. Anderson often says that success is achieved by taking a dream and making it come true. Our lives today are a result of our thinking from yesterday. Our lives tomorrow will be determined by what we are thinking today. We are what we think. And our lives are a composition of our dreams made into reality through the choices that we make and the thoughts that precede them. Who dares to dream the impossible? To see the lack of diversity in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine, and instead of continuing to ask why, propose a solution and ask why not. The STRIDE program is an achievement of its own. It begins as a positive thought of incorporating diversity and integrating the mission and vision of FSU College of Medicine with an outreach component by extending opportunity to rural communities and unrepresented minorities in medicine and in the sciences. As we reflect on its success tonight as alumni, we no longer see it just as a dream, but a reality that has impacted the lives of all of us in attendance tonight. It amazes me to think that over 20 years ago, this program was created with the mission and the vision to help someone like me. STRIDE is the product of progressive and positive thinking. We are all benefactors from the dreams of these individual women who aspired to give something back to their students, and those students who would in turn be inspired and give themselves to a higher calling. The calling of becoming a physician, engineer, scientist, biologist, mathematician, higher education professional. For me, becoming a physician was answering a calling to serve, to give myself to fulfill the purpose of helping not only those who look like me, but those who don't. My ability to answer that calling has been made possible by being a part of the STRIDE program. The reality is, STRIDE didn't just help me on my career path, but it changed my life. I met and married my wife through our encounters in the program. The first time I saw her was actually at a MAPS meeting. We share 4 beautiful children together, and because my life has been changed, my children will not know poverty. They will not know the sorrow and emptiness of a home due to addiction and incarceration, and even now they aspire to be like their parents. They want to be doctors. With my life, I can now make a difference in the lives of so many others. And I have Miss Anderson, Dr. Livingston, Dr. Foster, Dr. Hurt, and the STRIDE program to thank for taking a chance on me, the very chance that so few were willing to take. I challenge you all to consider being a part of this dream that we call STRIDE and fulfilling the need for diversity as a model in your respective fields. Bridge the gap where there's distance from those who dare to dream but lack the opportunity and the resources that you have the ability to provide for them. In closing, I'll echo Ms. Anderson again. Success is achieved by taking a dream and making it come true. Success can be achieved when we work together. Success truly is science students together reaching instructional diversity and excellence. Thank you.